one thing I wanted to point out, and this has nothing to do with breakout rooms or chat, but it was a question that came up. I know a lot of people will be teaching simultaneously, and there's some concern about how you're going to do that in the class and online. And so if you're like me, you're planning on using Zoom, which means that the people in your room will be on Zoom. And the suggestion was made to go to gallery view. So let me share my screen here so you can see what I'm doing, just like Lauren, because I'm on the same computer that Lauren had. So, you know, make sure you understand that you're going to be seeing similar to what you already see, but this is my screen that I'm sharing here. She suggested that you go to gallery view. Well, one thing, if you notice, that gallery view gives us a lot of people. Now, I don't know about your classes, but as of right now, I only have 2 students that are online and the rest are in the classroom. So I'm going to do this little to show you how this works, but I'm going to do it backwards. And so what I'm going to ask is that everybody who is not in this room, so if you're not in this room, turn your camera off. And I'm going to show you something really cool that you can do to isolate only the students that are joining you via Zoom. So everybody turn your camera off if you're not in this room, because that'll give us less people. Okay, now watch. If I can pick any name that I want to pick. I'm just going to pick this one here. I'm going to pick the 3 dots. And what I can do is I can go over here and I can say, hide non-video participants. As soon as I hit that, what I'm now limited to are the students that have their cameras on. So if you have students at home that are now to work, they would have to be using their camera, but you can isolate that only the people that you see will be the ones at home. Even though the students in your class are on Zoom as well, if you do this, you can do that so that you can only see. Now the students can do it as well if they only want to see the students that are online, but keep in mind they can also see the students that are in the classroom the same way you can. So that was just a side note. I noticed a question had come up about that, so I hope that's helpful to people. But now I get to talk about breakout rooms. And one thing I want to point out is Josh said that I get to come in here as an expert. I am by no means an expert. In fact, up until spring break, I knew nothing about Zoom and had never heard of Zoom. And when my amazing chair said, hey, y'all, you should use Zoom, I was like, no way am I using Zoom. I don't know anything about it. So what I did is exactly what Josh said. I put my 3 children on 3 different computers in 3 different rooms of our house, and we experimented. We tried breakout rooms, we tried different things, and then we upped the ante a little bit, and we called their cousins in Massachusetts via Zoom, and we added them into a breakout room. My son had a piano recital, and then their son had a piano recital. It was great. But we did all of that so that I could know what I'm doing. So everything I'm going to show you today are things that I'm learning as I go. Don't think that you have to go into this as already being an expert. Every day, even just today, I've learned new things. Okay, use those things, expand your knowledge, and understand that that's going to give you the most power. So what we're going to do today is something I actually just learned about yesterday. It's called I think it's called Jambox. Now I can't remember the name of it. Does it say on the Jamboard? Jamboard, yeah. It's associated with Google. And right now, Josh is going to put these in the chat window. So what you want to do is open your chat window if you don't have it open already, and you will see a link that says room 1, room 2, and room 3. What's going to happen once you see those links, don't click on anything yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you to a breakout room. Now, Lauren and Josh and Art are each going to be in one of the rooms with you. And then you're going to visit with them in the room. And then I'm going to pop in the room and show you some other really cool stuff about breakout rooms from the room. 2 things that you're going to see as we demonstrate this. Well, multiple things. You're going to see the Jamboard and how the Jamboard works to allow everybody to coordinate and type. So you want to go to the Jamboard associated with your breakout room number. It'll tell you when it invites you to the room what the number is, but it'll also show, if you look here on the top, right here, it'll show you what room it is as well. Okay, so when you go into the room, click the Jamboard link. That will be associated with that. The other thing that we've never done before, so we're not 100% how everything's going to work perfectly well, is all 3 of these people are going to be in the room communicating with each of their individual groups. So this will be an actual demonstration of what it'll be like in your classroom when you're breaking students into Zoom room groups, breakout rooms, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to because I'm going to be teaching on campus. You've got students that are going to be joining you online, okay? They deserve to be a part of the groups as well, which means that you're going to need to use the technology that you're using in the Zoom for everybody so that everybody can be on the same footing. Okay, so you're going to hear sound, maybe a little muffled. We'll be able to talk about it afterwards, how that works. So first thing I'm gonna do is break you into rooms. You're gonna get an invite to go to your room. So I'm gonna stop the share. I guess I already stopped it. Okay. Oh no, I did. There we go. See, my expert status is dwindling. All right, so I'm gonna go down here to where it says breakout rooms. We are going to put you into 3 different rooms. Now, if you notice here, there's 2 options. There's an automatically assigned and a manual assign. You can also go in and pre-assign students to the breakout rooms if you know beforehand what rooms you want students to be in. So this might be if you have a group project and you know who's in each of those groups.
Hey,
you can
Sharon,
go in.
You may want to reshare your screen so they can see that.
Oh, I forgot. Thank you. There we go. All right, there you go. Now you can see it. So we're using 3 rooms. You can go automatically, where you have the computer tell you where to go, manually, where you tell people where to go, and then where you pre-assign on Zoom or TCU pre-settings. One reason I found that the pre-settings are not always the best, I had an incident in the spring where I pre-assigned and I had specific numbers I needed to be in each of those groups, and I had like 2 students not show for the class, which made my numbers off. And so that was one of the times I was like, okay, pre-assigning didn't work. But then in the same regard, I had a class where I was doing group projects over multiple days, and I just clicked on, it was automatically pre-assigned, and they went into their same groups, okay? And then on manually, you can go in and you can assign them where you want to be. I'm gonna use automatically today, and I'm gonna show you a trick about that. So if you notice here, I'm gonna say create rooms. Now, nothing happened when I created the rooms, okay, except for this showed up on my screen. So Art, you're in room 1. Can you guys help me find you, Lauren and Josh? Does it, let's see.
And mine will be a laptop.
Yours is a laptop. Okay. So what I have to do now is, because I want them in specific rooms, I need to go down and I need to find Josh and Lauren and make sure that they're in different rooms. Okay, Josh is in
breakout 2.
Breakout 2. Lauren, do you see yours? If it's in 3, we're perfect. Oh, Lauren has a laptop. Okay. So they were already in there. I didn't have to move them, but let's say I did. So I'm going to go back up here. I'm not actually going to join the room for my laptop, but if I was, let's say that I was in the wrong room. What I could do is I could go in here and I could click this box that says move to, and it would allow me to move this person, which is me, to a different room. In the same regard, I could also do exchange. What exchange would be is, let's say I want to be in one room, but I'm going to put somebody else in exchange. Maybe you have students who you know wouldn't be a good idea to have them in a breakout room together. Okay, so what you do is you just go in here and you can then pick somebody and switch. So those are some settings that you can do. So what we're going to do now is, now you should have the link sent to you on chat. If you've all opened your chat window, as soon as you get into your rooms, you'll be able to open the link that's associated with your room and be able to interact with that. And I'll be in there to see you in just a few minutes. So here we go. Yeah, so remember, so one thing that we found out, I kind of told the people that I had, is that we learned that if I used the main room computer rather than my individual laptop, we had a lot of feedback because of all of the computers that were going on. But once I went on my laptop as my group commitment to be able to bounce in the rooms, then it wasn't a problem. If you're not going in the rooms at all, then it wouldn't be a problem. You just mute the main room, main mic, then it wouldn't worry. It's just when I tried to join the rooms that happened. Okay, so I heard there was some like, oh, we'll ask when you get back to the main room. So what were some of the questions that people had?
So one of the questions that we had was very much along the lines of using the pre-assignments and what that process is, because Catherine had a little trouble making those work. And then another question about, well, if you were using pre-assignments, how could you deal with that with guests? But I pretty much answered that one with, if you don't know who's coming, then you can't really pre-assign those individuals and would have to do that manually.
Yeah, one thing I really like to do, because like I said, I've used the pre-assignments, I will use them when I have the same groups over multiple days, because it's easier than having to redo it every time. But I have small enough, I mean, I don't know the size of everybody else's classes, so if you have like this probably wouldn't have been as easy with this larger group of people. But if you have a smaller class, what I do is I assign them as they come in. So let me share my screen here with you. Okay, so what I do is, if you see here the breakout rooms, I can go here into this section that says add a room. I can add as many rooms as I want. So what I do is before anybody enters my room, I will add how many ever rooms I want, okay? Then as I let people in from the waiting room, I assign them to the different breakout rooms. That way I know for sure how many people are in each room. I do this when it's important to me that I have a certain number in a group. So I was doing an activity where I needed no more than 3 people in the room. So I assigned it, rather than doing 1, 1, 1, 1, I made 3, then I put 3, then I put 3, and that way I had more control over who was in the room. If I messed up, if somebody had to leave, if something happened, I can always bump them back. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You are in control. Now, as I pointed out to a lot of you, I wasn't in control from my laptop. I'm in control from this main computer. So you'd have to use both simultaneously if you wanted to have that secondary laptop. Again, if you don't want to go in the rooms and you just want people to have their own time, you don't really need that.
Awesome. I didn't see any other questions from my group. Art and Lauren, did you have any other questions that came up for Sharon?
I had one which got cut off, but it might have been the one that just got asked in chat that you answered, so I think we're okay.
Perfect. Art, anything else? Great, awesome.
How do you create a Jamboard? All I did was Google search Jamboard and I created. The one hiccup I learned by practicing with it is that when you click share to everyone, there's a setting for share to everyone that you can edit and share to everyone that they can only see it. So when I first did my links, I did share to everyone where they could see it and nobody who tried it could do anything with it. So you want to make sure you share to everyone where they can edit. And that's how you do Jamboards. But they're like, not everybody heard him, but Josh said there are tons of different options. Jamboard was just a really easy one that I learned.
Awesome. So Catherine, the question that you had about the pre-assignments, we're going to have Lauren reach out to you and kind of work through some of those on those questions that you have from there. So would you like to cover anything else on breakouts?
No, nothing particular on breakouts. Now I get to show you some of the magics that are the whiteboard, which is really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go share my screen, but only this time, instead of sharing this screen, I'm going to share my whiteboard. Okay. All right, so once I share my whiteboard, there's a couple things to keep in mind is that I can write on my whiteboard. I'm using my mouse, you know, of course. You guys write.
We're going to.
Okay. But also the other thing that really cool can happen is the other people in the room can write on it as well, as long as you set the setting. And I have a picture that I'm going to show you here in just a couple minutes that shows you exactly where this setting is, because I think it's a little hard to find at times. Okay, so notice here where people are writing. So you all can write on the board. And I did this, I practiced with this yesterday, and I was able to do this from my cell phone, from an iPad, and from a laptop. So I know that all of the devices can do it. Now, one thing that you can do is you can click on more. And if you go down here on more, and it says, show names of annotators. Yep. So now it's showing whoever's writing, it's showing their name. I don't know why I'm only seeing Lauren's name. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, so if you want to do an activity where you don't know who's writing, you don't have to have that setting on. But if you want to do a setting where you do know where what activity that they're, or who's doing the writing, you can turn that on. So those are a couple options for that. But this is a good place to be able to do if you're doing math problems or you're trying to draw a figure that you need to understand. Now, one question that did come up on Monday, and I did a lot of experimenting to see if it was possible, you can save the whiteboard. I can save it to my computer. I can send it out to you, but I can't. The one question that came up, and I was hoping it was possible, but it wasn't, you can't copy and then paste it into chat so that people can see it in breakout rooms. Now, you can, once you get to a breakout room, somebody in your group, if it's set that anybody can share, somebody in your group can open a whiteboard and you can do it that way. But you can also do Jamboard or one of those other devices as well if you want to do share in the breakout rooms. But you can't, unfortunately, translate what's on this board to your breakout room.